You just sent me a message.
Okay. I will wait few minutes then start. You already know the class. I will accelerate it a little bit. Try to do the following chapters as much as possible. Do you have any question?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, bro.
Yes, please.
Uh,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, like, how is the midterm and final exam going to be? Is it objective again?
Probably. This is the most possibly solution because when I put some other application, it is not easy. You know, you are not able to follow.
My concern was, if it can be possible, you give us theory exam, and then we do it. When we are done, we snap and send it to you. Because I believe, like, with that, you can even mark our steps. If even though we might not get the actual answer, but the steps can count in our grading. But objective, like, once we miss it, then that's all. Even with the effort that we are going to do to calculate everything, we'll miss it. So that is just my suggestion. I don't know whether it can be considered.
Well, in test also you have to calculate when you put the answer only into the system. This is the only differences. You understand?
Yes, I know, but I'm saying, like, you calculate and the calculation might be correct. You make some little mistake and you get the answer wrong. So those correct steps, you will lose them because it's objective. So I'm saying,
Well,
like,
but this is not mathematics, you know, my dear. You, I repeated several times. You are mixing this with the mathematics. This is economics, and in economics we are only concentrating to the numbers, not the calculation, not the way of your method. It's not important for me. That's another. I think I have to quit and then come again because there is a problem with this presentation. Something. I think we can do now. Okay, you see this slide, I think.
Yes, we are seeing
Yes.
it now.
Is anybody new here? I think there is some new students. Who is new?
Yeah.
Rashid,
Aaron,
Rashid Kamara.
yes, yes,
You are
Aaron
new.
Rashid, come on. Yeah.
What are
Banking and
banking and finance?
accounting, banking and accounting.
Banking and accounting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think somebody. Okay, Mujahid. Okay, Mujahid is also here. Alias Nielsen. Okay, Nielsen. I think you finished this class. You didn't do it. You did this class. I think you finished. You want to repeat it, Nielsen? Do you hear me, Nielsen? Well, he's probably not listening. Oh, shall I have to start?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. Mujahid, what are you studying?
Economics, sir.
Economics. Okay. This is your first semester or second semester?
This is my second semester.
Okay. You're probably familiar with this, some of the topics that we are presenting today. Do you see the slides, I think?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. As you remember, the microeconomics concentrated, of course, the individuals and firm activities. And here in our classes, again, we are refreshing ourselves with these topics. Of course, microeconomics is mostly concentrated to the calculations. And in these calculations, we are requiring to do the necessary equations and necessary knowledge for being able to estimate the necessary problems. I have to get my pointer to make it easy. Okay. 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 As I said to you, microeconomics, based on individuals and firm activities, and in this direction, we are, of course, concentrating most of this application in micro level. Is anybody trying to attend to the class? Okay. Who is this? Let me see. Who joined the class? Okay. Ekvet. You are also in economics. You are in economics department. Ekvet. Is that right?
No.
No. Which department?
He's in banking and accounting.
Banking and accounting.
He's got some problem with his mic. I know him personally.
Okay. So you probably following the slides, I think. In this class, in this lecture, I am introducing you the microeconomic modeling, how to realize and understand this microeconomic modeling for enlarging it, of course, to the macro level either. But in this class, of course, it is important to concentrate for the models. What are the endogenous and exogenous variables and how we are going to create equations and model in a given scenario. And in this direction, we are trying to concentrate. I think somebody is trying to access again. Yes. Okay. I accepted everything, I think, everybody here. Okay. Let's go further. The elements of model and how to solve it. We are using three important applications for being able to solve these economical problems and economical models in micro level. And of course, when we are looking to this microeconomic modeling, we are understanding there are three important analytical tools. And the first one is the constraint optimization. The second one is the equilibrium analysis. And the third one is the comparative statistics. The first one, of course, is very important. We are concentrating mostly the equations and creating the variables which is given to you for being able to estimate and create the model which you are going to use in your master and idea in the PhD equation is probably very helpful for you for being able to use these applications because economical aspect is mostly concentrated for this methodology and for this models creation in the correct and proper direction. The constraint optimization is, of course, dependent, of course, very, very importantly to the exogenous and the endogenous variables, and any model that you are going to use, whether it is used to study the chemistry, physics, economics, and other social disciplines, must specify what variables will be taken as given in the analysis and what variables are to be determined by the model. I think somebody should switch off the microphone, then we communicate better, because your microphone is loud a little bit. It's better, yes. Then exogenous variable, as I said to you, is the variable whose value is taken as given in the analysis of an economic system. An endogenous variable, a variable whose value is determined with an economic system being studied. Therefore, in this direction, exogenous and endogenous variable becoming very important to put into your equation for being able to create the proper model for estimating and analyzing the economical problems. And in this direction, as I said to you, we are starting with the constraint optimization, which is, of course, dependent. Either you are going to increase and optimize your utility or decrease and minimize your cost. Therefore, cost and benefit analysis becoming very important in this direction for this class. The constraint optimization problems usually have two parts: the objective function and set of constraints, which is, of course, very important, as I said to you, for estimating the exogenous and endogenous variables. Constraint optimization can be analyzed with very simple and very basic model, which is in the book given. Suppose a farmer plans to build a rectangular fence as a pen for his sheep, and he has feet of fence and cannot afford to purchase anymore. And however, he can choose the dimensions of the pen, which will have a length of L feet and a width of V or W feet. He wants to choose the dimensions L and W that will maximize the area of the pen. He must also make sure that the total amount of fencing he used, the perimeter of the pen, does not exceed F feet. Therefore, here in such a simple scenario, which is going to be developed on this direction to create the objective function for the model, what is the constraint of this given scenario, and which of the variable in this scenario is exogenous and endogenous must be determined for being able to solve this kind of problems, which is very basic knowledge for you. The solution, of course, in this direction, we are creating this objective function regarding to the given parameters and regarding to the given variables. As you are observing here, there are two variables which are length and width, which is going to be used for estimating the fence rectangular pen. Therefore, the constraint will describe the restriction imposed on the farmer. We are told that the farmer has only F feet of fence. Therefore, this is, of course, probably the limitation of our scenario, because we are creating our fence depending to the meter of this fence. Therefore, we have to create this scenario in this direction where it is going to be less than of this F feet or equal to this F feet of fence in this rectangular pen. Therefore, constraint will describe the restriction that the perimeter of the pen will be, of course, if it is a rectangular, therefore it is, of course, 2 times length and 2 times width, or as you are knowing from the geometrical calculations, 2x and plus 2y should be then, of course, given the rectangular circumstances. Therefore, we are using similar application here. And then we are supposing that this must not exceed the amount of defense available for the farmers capacity or F meter fence, which is going to be bought or which is bought by the farmer. Therefore, the constraint can be written as 2 length plus 2 width must be equal or must be less than fence. This is the, of course, possible equation, or so-called the function in a given scenario. Therefore, the farmer is given only F feet of fence to work with it. And due to this reason, the perimeter of fence is supposed to be exogenous variable since it is taken as given in the analysis and we are not able to change it. The endogenous variable is supposed to be length and width of this rectangular fence. And this is then, of course, open. And this is then, of course, supposed to be the value that can be determined in a given model. The summarized of this simplest example, then of course, we want to maximize this given length and width should be equal or less from this fence, and the endogenous variables, it is supposed to be length and width, which is, of course, can be extended or reduced regarding to the shape of this rectangular fence open, and the, of course, exogenous variable is supposed to be F, which is fence, and the equation or the model which is going to be created in this scenario, as I have mentioned to you, should be 2 times length plus 2 times width must be less than or equal to this fence meter. And in a given scenario, of course, this can be the very, very clear understanding that we have the necessary information with this summarized model. Then we are, of course, creating our application on this given scenario. Of course, when we are looking to this objective function, specify what the agent cares about and what is going to be optimized in a given scenario. The consumer cares about maximizing his satisfaction. The manager cares about raising its profit, as usually, because World is not a non-profit organization or organization. World is a profit based market, so-called, and reducing the cost is becoming very important in this direction, and increasing the power of this given scenario of the farmer or any entrepreneur is becoming very important in the objective function. The constraint here is, of course, supposed to be the limits placed on the resources available to the agent. The manager's budget is supposed to be, in a given another example, is 1 million euro, and the consumer's income is supposed to be 3,000 euro. In a given scenario, the behavior of an agent can be modeled as optimized the objective function and the subject to the, of course, given parameters which is constrained this model. The example again can be, of course, limit with a scenario. Suppose we are having here again food and clothing, which we are very often very often use these two let's say variables or products in a following chapters either. And therefore the given income is supposed to be I, and the price of the food is supposed to be PF, and the price of the clothing is supposed to be PC. The satisfaction from purchasing, which is, of course, the function here, is supposed to be the utility function is so-called, is then S is equal to F multiplied C, is the root square of this equation. The objective function then is supposed to be maximizing this satisfaction, which is given F multiplied C is power of 1 over 2 or root square, is subjected to the PF multiplied F plus PC multiplied C should be less than or equal to the income of this given scenario, and F and C is here is supposed to be endogenous. Here it is given again in a scenario, the consumer, of course, purchases with this budget constraint, PF multiplied F plus PC multiplied C is equal to I is the budget constraint. But as you know, this budget constraint or budget equation is not only the used application for being able to determine the utility function for this consumer, because we need some other parameters and we need some other aspect for being able to analyze this scenario as the indifference curve, as the utility function, which is going to be used for estimating and analyzing the, of course, maximizing, or let's say the maximizing the utility or the preferences, or minimizing the cost in this direction, which is going to be used in this example. As I said to you, the utility function is then, of course, applied on this equation, and then objective function will become tangent to the budget constraint, and where it is going to be tangent, then it's supposed to be the utility function or the optimal bundle will be realized in a given scenario, which supposed to be the consumer probably prefer to buy. Of course, this indifference curve can be shifted up and down in any level on this, any point on this budget constraint, and it can be created depending to the preferences of the consumer. If consumer prefer to buy more food than clothes, then of course more clothes, more food is depending to the preferences of the consumer, and it is shifting up and down on this curve and creating different application and different combination of this model which is given. However, as I mentioned to you, it can be lower level of this curve and it can be upper level of this curve, which is of course not desired. If it is lower level of this indifference curve, this is not desired combination, and if it is upper level, then this is then of course not desired, because it is then becoming, of course, higher consumption or more than income of the consumer, which is given scenario, not able to consume in given scenario. As I indicated here, if it is lower level, this indicates that there is some spaces up to the S0 to S1, then consumer should use these spaces for increasing this bundle as much as possible where it is tangent to the budget constraint. And it can be, as I mentioned to you, upper level on this budget constraint, which is also not desired, because as you are observing, satisfaction 2 is higher than satisfaction 1, and satisfaction 1 is, or utility is higher than S0, which is of course dependent this position and of course tangent position of this budget constraint. And due to this reason, we have to determine the best possible scenario in a given option for creating optimal bundle for the consumer. Another example can be given here, the advertising spot. Suppose the manager of a beer company wants to decide to film, to advertise, and of course create some more market for the business. The budget is supposed to be 1 million to allocate between TV spots or TV advertising and radio. And the problem here, whether it is going to be created between tax television and radio, which is both media, but one is audio and the other one is only the listening, and only the, of course, listening and of course not seeing, is somehow reducing the purchasing, of course, the advertising ability of the films. Therefore, we have to determine here the best possible combination of this given scenario for allocating this given budget among this TV, advertising and radio, and where B is supposed to be the barriers, and PT and PR are the prices of the TV and radio advertising respectively. Therefore, when we are applying this cost to the equation, it is given here PT multiplied T plus PR multiplied R is supposed to be less than or equal to the 1 million, which is the allocated budget for this given scenario. And after application of this combinations, which is given among TV and radio advertising or sendings, then you see many of the sending create sales regarding or comparing to the radio, and of course enlarging and increasing the, of course, market for this company if it is used for the TV sending. Therefore, it is important to determine which combination is going to be the best possible option in a given scenario. And you are observing here, when you are spending $100,000, the amount and distribution of this sales is supposed to be 4,750 and 950 for the radio, and it goes like this to 500. It is then of course becoming 1,870, 750, and for the radio it is decreasing amount, realize here, then 3,750, and when we go to the million, then it is of course, as you are observing, it is again not that much as it is on the 500, where it is double itself after the first and second. Therefore, we have to determine which advertising method and of course media organ should be used for optimizing and marketing our product in a given scenario, which is very important combination. Therefore, we have to determine this combination and distribution of the budget regarding to this sales. In this direction, as you are understanding, equilibrium analysis is also becoming very important, since it is helping hand for determining the consumption and of course sales. Then we are of course requiring to see the equilibrium analysis in this direction. And equilibrium analysis of course is based on this supply and demand curve, and as much as you are using this supply and demand curves, you are able to determine to see where you are going to approach to the equilibrium position, where you are going to the surplus, where you are in the scarcity. Therefore, you have to determine the best possible combination in a given scenario for being able to satisfy your market, as it is given here for the coffee beans. The quantity is supposed to be in pounds, and the price of the pound is given here, and the equilibrium is also illustrated. And if you are able to analyze this with equilibrium analysis, you can use, of course, as I said to you, the consumer capacity when the price is increasing, whether it is going to be increase or decrease, how much is, of course, scarcity realized, and if the prices goes up, whether it is excess the equilibrium price or whether it is below the equilibrium price. These things must be carefully treated with, of course, several application and several estimation, which we are using mostly the regression analysis, and this will then helping hand for the time series for being able to analyze and estimate the, of course, market structure and market direction in the economy. In this example, equilibrium is defined as the point where the demand equals supply in the market, and in the point where the demand and supply curves crossing each other is supposed to be the equilibrium position. The comparative statistics in this direction is also helping hand for us, the analyzing and of course helping to compare the equilibrium states of system before a change in the exogenous variable to the equilibrium state after the exchange. So-called the comparative statistic is of course using for examining how the change in some exogenous variable will affect the level of some endogenous variable in an economic system. This is then of course very important, because in micro level analysis we are concentrating to the companies and firm activities, and this is then of course very helping hand for seeing any change in the price or any other exogenous variables affecting and changing the market structure. Due to this reason, we are of course becoming very easily dependent to these parameters for being able to analyze and observe the change in the market structure by playing with these numbers and of course parameters in the system. The coffee beans, as I said to you, if it is shifted or reduced regarding to these price changes, as you are observing here, if the prices reduced here, you are observing demand capacity is supposed to be enlarged, and of course the new supply equation is of course shifted to the lower level, and of course this is then of course questionable whether it is going to be realized or not. Therefore, we have to determine what to do and how to react and respond, because if we are shifting the prices to the higher level, probably the demand capacity will reduce and become reduced, and therefore this will then create some problem to the producer. And in this direction, you are, of course, in microanalysis, cannot concentrate only the decision-making process, only the production operation process, but you have to concentrate on the market capacity, which is the consumer. And consumer demand and consumer response becoming very important in this direction. Otherwise, you can increase, as in monopoly, as in monopsony, realize, increase the prices without any hesitate, without any problem. And of course, you become, of course, enjoying this market structure without problem. However, in economy, as I said to you, whether it is micro level, as it is macro level, it is very important to concentrate to the supplier and to the consumer, because supplier alone is not the only and only determinant in the economy, because there are rivals and there are consumers. Therefore, you have to concentrate all parties for being able to determine and analyze the economy in this direction. As I said to you here, then the price reduced, and in reduction on the prices, of course, shifting the quantity from Q star to the double star. When the consumer choice revisited it was given here in the budget constraint, P food multiplied food amount plus PC, which is clothing price, multiplied with the cloth, is equal to the income of the consumer, which is supposed to be, of course, in a scenario, there are two products, and there are, of course, limited scenario for being able to analyze this economical model in two-dimensional aspect, which we are using mostly in this aspect, and we are analyzing most of the problems with this scenario, with this kind of two-dimensional scenario, which is helping him for being able to determine the economical impact of the parameters. And of course, when we are putting the utility function on this curve, so-called the F multiplied C root square is equal to the satisfaction 0, or the utility is 0 here, and it is supposed to be then equilibrium position realized, or the tangent position realized, where the optimal bundle created for this consumer, because it is supposed consuming probably the equally food and clothing regarding to the price changes or price distribution. And of course, this will be the best possible bundle for the consumer. And if it is shifted to the lower level, then this, of course, creating another problem. And this then, of course, shift the satisfaction, whether it is going to be because of the income changes. Here it is, of course, supposed to be the income is reduced, and because of this income reduction is supposed to be then, of course, new combination realized in the below level of this S0, which is realized and, of course, created on S1. And of course, on this direction, the consumers combination realize at that level, where it is, of course, becoming indifference, tangent to the indifference curve, I1. And of course, since you are understanding S0 or satisfaction or utility is higher than S1, similarly, the indifference curve 0 is higher than I1, because I1 or I0 is becoming higher than I1, and it is, of course, higher level of combination, of course, satisfaction for the consumer. And here, as I said to you, this reduction realized with income reduction. The positive and normative analysis is also becoming very important in the economical aspect, and it can be explained what has happened due to an economic policy, and can predict what might happen due to an economic policy. And the definition, of course, depending to the normative analysis, is supposed to be analyzed what should be done to increase or enlarge in a given scenario if something already done. If price, of course, increase, what to do for increasing, for example, the utility function to the similar level. You can replace, for example, or substitute the, of course, product with the cheaper one to create the similar satisfaction or similar quality, or not quality, but similar consumption at that level. Therefore, positive analysis is attempting to explain how an economic system works to predict how it will change over time. And positive economics is a stream of economics that focuses on the description, quantification, and explanation of economic developments, expectations, and association phenomena. And normative analysis is, of course, the typical focuses on issues of social welfare, examining what will enhance or detract from the common good. And normative economic focuses on the ideological, opinion-oriented, prescriptive value judgments and what should be done or what is going to be, of course, to do for creating the existing or former position in a given scenario. Statements aimed towards economic development, investment projects, and scenarios, which is, of course, mentioned in a given example to you, should be increased or decreased for creating this similar effect to the utility or to the consumer. Therefore, positive statement is the reasoning more generally are objective, such they can be tested. These fall in two categories. One is a hypothesis, like unemployment is caused by a decrease on GDP, because, you know, if the GDP is decreasing, GDP is, of course, is the amount of the goods and services which is created or produced in a year. And if it is reduced, it is expected that unemployment rate is, of course, enlarged, or the employment rate is, of course, not created. Therefore, normative statement is one that makes a value judgment. Such judgment is the opinion of the speaker. No one can prove that the statement is or is not correct. Here are some examples of normative statements in economics. We ought to do more to help the poor. People in the United States should save more for retirement, and corporate profits are too high, can be given for the normative statements as you are observing here. These are mostly the too general, such as skeptic and, of course, utopic speeches. And the positive statements deal with the assumptions about the statement, about the state of the world, and some conclusions. The validity of positive statement is variable or testable in principles. And no matter how difficult it might be, an example for this, then the weight of the earth is 6 septillation, which is 6 times 10 power of 24 metric tons. An example, an increase in the minimum wage increases in unemployment among teenagers. These are the things that is already well-known judgments, such as the Newton's gravity. This is, of course, somehow affecting and, of course, changing the normative statement either. And normative statement contain a value judgment. They contain words such as have to, ought to, must, should, or non-quantifiable adjectives such as important that cannot be objectively measured. Accordingly, normative statements cannot be verified by the scientific methods. Example, a present unemployment is a more serious problem than inflation. The tax rate on the top earned more than 1 million euros should be 75%. This kind of statements can be introduced as a normative statement. The limitation of the microeconomic analysis, of course, is also dependent to this kind of statements. Should we increase the income equality rather than focus on economic efficiency? Because you know that economy is not only concentrated for the profit, is not only concentrated to the so-called capitalist approach, it is also dependent to the welfare aspect, to the social aspect for increasing the welfare, because economy is not dependent to the quantifying or quantities which is going to be calculated in the, of course, econometrical aspect. We are, of course, concentrating to the social aspect for increasing the welfare, for increasing the utility, because every application and every production and every introduction to the economical, let's say, sectors and issues, not positively responding and reacting to the economy, because welfare economics is becoming very important, because everything is done for increasing the welfare. and welfare economics is becoming very important in this direction. You are not only concentrating to the production operation process. You are not only concentrating to the numbers, as Mohammed questioning me why we are not concentrating to the application or the method or methodology. We are only concentrating to the numbers for being able to analyze and of course change regarding to this given of course let's say findings or outcomes. If you calculate, let's say, the inflation 20%, then this will then of course has also meant that you have to give somehow 20% consolidated income if it is necessarily and if it is correctly applied and of course introduced to the market, then of course income decrease, which is inflation, is an increase of the rise of the general price level, and this is then of course reducing the purchasing power of the consumers. Therefore, consolidated income must also adapt and of course increase regarding to these numbers. And if you calculate the inflation rate, real term I mean talking about, then you have to of course adapt these numbers and these policies with this application. Because if the inflation rate is 20%, then you are understanding that at least your nominal interest rate must be at least equal or at least around these numbers for reducing the loss of the value of the currency. Because as you know, as much as you are increasing inflation, this is negatively affecting many of the parameters in the economics. Therefore, if only one number you are calculating is wrong, then interest rate, income, everything, real wages, everything will be affected negatively and will be calculated and will be responded, will be, of course, reflected wrong and, of course, estimated wrong again. Therefore, these numbers must be correctly and, of course, perfectly estimated. And, of course, this will then help to create the necessary policies in this direction, or the tax policies which is going to be applied similarly will affect and change the economy in this direction. And of course, should we impose a progressive income tax or sale tax to increase income inequality is another analyzing issue for economical aspect. Because as you know, if you are applying some 20% tax or 15% tax per capita per income, then this will then of course affecting and changing purchasing power parity and of course the income of the people who are going to consume. Therefore, this kind of applications and of course the statements which is going to be this in discussion must be carefully treated and must be carefully analyzed for helping hand to create progressive and of course reliable economical application, of course economical regulations. Due to this reason, we are in the economy not only concentrating to the numbers, but we are also concentrating to the application of these numbers to the policy, to the governments, to the economy, because these are all affecting the whole economy. And of course, this is very important. As you are observing here, only in the COVID-19 pandemic, too many things happen and too many economical aspect and of course negatively affected sectors is in the queue for helping hand. Therefore, any application or any regulation or any numbers regarding to this pandemic also is also affecting the economy. Therefore, this kind of applications and of course estimations must be carefully treated, because it will create multiplier effect to the economy and causing too much to the economy and to the, of course, the whole market. Due to this reason, we are in the microeconomics, we're analyzing first the consumer side, so-called the demand side of the economy very well. We are applying the utility function. We are questioning the elasticity, how it is going to be affected or affecting and changing the market structure, and then concentrating to the producer side, so-called the production operation process, and output input analysis will be introduced to you in this direction. This was the first lecture for today, and if you have any question, you will ask me. If you don't, I will finish it. Do you have any question?
Thank you, Doctor.
Because today we are going to start with this chapter, and next lecture will become a little bit more extended, and we will go some calculations a little bit more. I will give you some calculations online. You will do it and responding to me. This is how it is going to be, because online calculation is not easy, as you know, with these programs, but we will do our best. I will give you some homework, some assignments, and then you will sending to my account or to the system. Then we will evaluate everything with your contribution. I have to inform you, I will put 40% for you. I will put the course description, course outline today to the system. I have planned 40% for your midterm, 20% for your assignment, and 40% for your final exam. This is how it is going to be analyzed. And if you want to do some project or something like this, I am ready. If you don't, then this is what we are going to do. 2 times assignment will be given to you, and of course 2 exam. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. If you don't have any question, then see you then next when is it? Monday we have, isn't it?
Friday.
Sir,
Friday.
how many times do
Okay,
we
sorry,
meet per
Monday,
week?
Monday.
So Monday.
Monday we have at 3. Yes, please.
So Monday and Wednesday.
Yes, Monday, Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Tell me, please.
When will be the midterm?
What is? I will put you the online exam again. If you don't like, I don't know, but this is the only way what we can do, because I have to assess you with your exams, and I will put some, of course, my contribution to you with your assignments up to 30%, let's say. Minimum 20% if you submit it, and up to 30% will be given to you, which is going to be
Okay.
again 110. Yes, please.
When are we doing the midterm?
Prof,
Is
you
it in
ask
the
the
middle
date
of the
of the
month?
exam. The
I
date.
don't know the dates for the exam.
Yeah, the date. Yeah.
I don't know. We have to do the classes first, and then I will tell you around in the mid of July or 20 of July somehow. I don't know. We will determine. Okay.
Today is
Okay.
on the 1st.
Okay,
July.
Prof. Okay.
Okay then.
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir,
Yes.
I'm going to ask this
Prof,
presentation as
the
well.
exam is going to be this month.
No. Yes. We have
Yes.
2 weeks time classes, and then
Submit them.
yes, midterm around
Midterm.
6 after the 6 or 7 classes. We will have the midterm. Okay.
Okay.
Do you
Okay,
have any?
Prof. Okay, Prof.
So,
Yes.
Prof, how can we get the notes? Are you going to put it in our group chat?
I'm going to put this PowerPoints to the system, and you
Okay.
have to study the Broitigams book. You know the Broitigams book. I'm going to put the course description also to the system. Then you will I can forward you the software of this book. I think you have it. If you don't have it, then you can share your friends. I think you don't have it, Momat. Do you have the book?
The one we used the last semester.
Yes, because this is the micro, same book, same class.
Okay.
You
I
can
didn't see
share
the
with
course.
your friends.
I didn't see the course in the Uzembe. Is it there?
It's there, Prof.
I will put the course description to the system, to the notices, okay?
Okay.
To the
No problem.
announcement.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, for us the new students that are attending the class now, we need to get a book because we are not economic students, and then we've not been part of this class all the time. So the other materials.
Your voice is echoes, and I don't understand exactly.
Yeah, we need the book because of the materials.
I will upload it to the announcements. Momat has got it. I will upload it to the announce. Then you will get it there. Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Momat, you can direct them the book if you want. If you don't, then
I
I will.
have. If I have his number, I can share it to them.
Okay, I will upload today to the system. Okay, no problem. I will upload it to the system, then you will do it. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay,
And
bro. Thank you
also
so much.
course description also. Okay, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, thanks so
Okay,
much.
see you then next Monday. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. See you then. Bye bye.